Caitlin Clark is standing at the scorer's table, knees bent, warm-ups off, waiting for the buzzer to wave her back onto the floor. She checks in. She plays about 3 minutes. Then somebody sends her right back to the bench. And that wasn't her call. The plan that put Indiana's franchise player on a stopwatch came from her head coach, Stephanie White. This weekend, in Las Vegas, we're going to find out what it cost. Because the reason White gave for those 3-minute shifts, and the reason Clark gave right back, don't fit in the same sentence. 16 minutes. That's all Caitlin Clark played Wednesday night in Los Angeles, in a game the Fever lost to the Sparks, 106-92. And those 16 minutes didn't come the way you'd draw them up. They came in little pieces, about 3 on the floor, then off, 3 more, then off again. In and out all night, never on long enough to settle into anything. She finished with 9 points on 4 of 12 shooting, 1 of 6 from behind the arc, and by her own account, no way to find a rhythm. It's really hard to get into a flow, she admitted afterward. And a shorthanded Sparks team, missing 2 of its own starters, handed Indiana that loss anyway. Step back for a second and remember how she even ended up on a stopwatch. This all traces to June 24th against Phoenix, when Clark's back flared up in the middle of a game. She sat out the next 2 entirely. So Wednesday in Los Angeles carried more weight than a normal night. It was her first game back, the one everybody had circled. The return. And the return got rationed out 3 minutes at a time. Now, the part that's easy to miss when your eyes are glued to the star, Caitlin Clark doesn't decide how long Caitlin Clark plays. Stephanie White does. White is in her first real run as the Fever's head coach, brought in back in November of 2024 to steer this exact roster around this exact player. When Clark checks in, when she comes out, how long the shifts last, all of it runs through the coach. That's the job. So when Clark said the plan wasn't hers, she wasn't dodging anything. She was pointing at where the decision actually gets made. And it doesn't get made by the woman whose name is on half the jerseys in the building. Think about who that woman is for a second. Clark isn't some role player you carefully spot minute back into shape. She's the reason the arena was full. She's the reason the game was on national TV. And she's a rhythm player, the kind who needs a few trips up the floor to feel her legs under a 3 to slow the whole court down in her head. You don't get any of that in 90-second bursts. You barely get warm. 3 minutes in, 3 minutes out, and every time she started to find a little something, the whistle pulled her before it could turn into anything real. And it showed up on the scoreboard. This wasn't Clark resting through a blowout. The Sparks were down 2 starters, and they still walked out with a 14-point win over an Indiana team that had its best player dressed and available. But only in 3-minute doses. Somewhere in that night is a version where Clark plays starters minutes, catches fire in the 3rd quarter, and drags a winnable game back. We'll never know if that version existed. It was never on the table. The plan made sure of it. So why do that to the one player everybody bought a ticket to see? White had an answer, and to her credit, she gave it straight. Clark had just lost nearly 2 weeks to that back injury. She hadn't been able to practice much. "I think it's going to take some time to build endurance," White said. On its face, that's reasonable. That's a coach being careful with a player coming off an injury. Cautious, responsible, exactly the instinct you'd want from the person in charge of protecting the most valuable thing the franchise owns. There's just one problem with it. Caitlin Clark turned around and told the Fever's own trainers something that doesn't square with a word of it. She told them she didn't even feel very winded. Read those 2 back to back. The coach says the short shifts were about endurance, about a body that needed easing in slowly. The player says her body felt fine. Both of them said it out loud the same night into open microphones. That's the gap this whole story lives inside. Not a rumor, not a leak. 2 people, 2 podiums, 2 different reasons for the exact same 16 minutes. And then Clark said the thing that lit the internet up, except she didn't light it the way people wanted her to. Asked about the plan, asked directly about those choppy little shifts, she didn't point a finger at anybody. She said, and I'm quoting her word for word, "That was not my decision. That was somebody else's decision." Somebody else. She never said who. She had the microphone. She had the room. She had every reason on earth to say a name, and she left it blank. The people watching filled it in for her inside of a minute. Clark herself never did. And that blank space, that name she wouldn't put in the air, is the loudest thing she did all night. You have to wonder why she left it empty. Because Clark had 2 easy exits out of that moment, and she refused both. She could have swallowed it, said the right things, praised the plan, protected the coach, kept the room quiet. She didn't. Or she could have blown it wide open. Named a name, pointed the finger, handed every camera in the building the war it was practically begging for. She didn't do that either. She did the third thing, the harder thing, told the exact truth, then stopped one word short of the part that would have started the fire. Somebody else's decision. And then nothing. Just the silence where the name should be. Now, the second that clip got loose, a version of this took off online. That Stephanie White is doing this on purpose. That she's holding Clark back deliberately. That there's some kind of agenda running against the biggest star this league has ever produced. So, let me be as clear as I know how to be. Not one reporter, not one person inside the Fever, not one league source has put a name behind any of that. There is no reporting under it. It's a feeling a lot of people have, dressed up to look like a fact. And I'm not going to hand it to you as one. The honest version is smaller than the conspiracy, and somehow it sits with you worse. A coach and her franchise player stood in the same arena and gave two different reasons for the same night. Only one of them can be the true one, and the one person who'd actually know. She won't say. That restraint is its own kind of statement, by the way. Clark didn't accuse anyone. She didn't demand anything. She didn't ask out, didn't torture coach, didn't do a single one of the things the loudest corners of the internet were daring her to do. She just quietly declined to carry the blame for a plan that was never hers and let everybody else sit in the quiet with her. For a player who has watched every sentence she's ever spoken get sawed into a headline, that kind of discipline says plenty on its own. If you followed basketball long enough, you've seen this exact movie before. Different city, different decade. 1986. A young Michael Jordan snaps a bone in his foot, misses most of the season, and when he's finally cleared to come back, the Chicago Bulls won't take him off the leash. 7 minutes a half, 14 minutes a game, a hard cap, handed down from above whether he liked it or not, and Jordan hated it. Hated it so much that years later he said being boxed in like that bothered him more than almost anything in his entire career. Not because of the games it cost him, because of what it quietly did to his trust in the people making the call. It's the same shape all these years later. A generational player, back from an injury, handed a number she never got a vote on. What it really costs isn't the 16 minutes. It's whether she still trusts the hand on the stopwatch. Which brings us to this weekend. The Fever don't play again until Sunday. Clark's already been ruled out of Thursday's game in Phoenix, her coach giving her one more night off on the back half of a back-to-back, the same careful way she's been handling Aaliyah Boston's minutes. So the next time we actually see Caitlin Clark on a basketball floor, it's Sunday night in Las Vegas, against the Aces, under the lights, on national television. And Clark says she's hoping the leash stretches a little further this time, that she gets somewhere close to 25 minutes. Hoping. That's the word she reached for. Because even now, it's still not her decision to make. It's still somebody else's. She just won't tell us whose. So watch what happens in Las Vegas. Watch how many minutes she gets, and watch whether they finally let her string them into something. And when the final buzzer sounds, ask yourself the question Caitlin Clark already answered, and then refuse to finish. It wasn't her decision. It was somebody else's. The only thing left to find out, the thing that was really the whole question all along, is whether that somebody was right.